Hi friends, welcome to Top Winner Academy. So we are dealing with the 10th class of ancient India, that is Gupta Empire. Okay, so Gupta Empire that rose in Magadha around 4th century AD and covered greater part of the North India. Right, so almost this was a Gupta Empire. So Gupta Empire, almost the entire part of the North India. And then it is known as the golden age of India. Okay, so we will see why it is called the golden age of India. Anyway, it is known as the golden age of India. See, what are the sources for the study of Gupta period? One, literary sources. See, literary sources that are, see, first is literary sources. See, the literary sources are Vishagadatta's Devi Chandragupta and Mudra Rakshasa. See, these provided the details about the rise of Guptas. Okay, so rise of Guptas. So Vishagadatta's Devi Chandraguptam and Mudra Rakshasa. Then social, economic and religious accounts left by Chinese traveler Fahian, who had visited India during the reign of Chandragupta. So when he visited, this is very important. Fahian visited India during the time of Chandragupta II or Vikramaditya. Okay, he gave an account of social, economic and religious facts. Then the next is epigraphical sources. See, Mehroli iron pillar inscription. So that describes the achievements of Chandragupta first. Okay, Mehroli pillar inscriptions. Then Allahabad pillar inscriptions about the reign of Chandragupta and describing his personality and achievements. It is engraved as on an Ashokan pillar that is written in Sanskrit in Nagari script composed of 33 lines written by Harisena. Okay, so Allahabad pillar inscription, it is dedicated to Samudragupta, that is written by Harisena. Then numismatic sources. The gold coins which give insights about the titles and sacrifices that were performed by the Guptas. Okay, so gold coins. And Gupta period, that Gupta kings, they issued a lot of gold coins, right? And they were the first to issue gold coins also. The Gupta dynasty. Okay, and a founder is Sri Gupta, then succeeded by Gharodkaja. So the greater thing is that we don't know much about these two persons, right? Okay, this Sri Gupta and Gharodkaja, we don't know much about Gharodkaja and Sri Gupta. So okay, Chandragupta first, 320 to 330 AD. So they waged many battles to attain this title of Maharajadi Raja. Okay, his title was Maharajadi Raja. He fought many battles. He married to a Lichavi princess Kumara Devi, and he is known as a real founder of Gupta era. Okay, he's a real founder of Gupta era. Then Samudragupta, 330 to 380 AD. He is known as Indian Napoleon. So he was the greatest of all rulers of Gupta dynasty. The Allahabad pillar inscription contains details of his military conquest in different stages. Okay, that means against of North Indian rulers, and Samudragupta's Dakshinapatha expedition means against the South Indian rulers. Another campaign against other rulers of North India. Right. So this is Allahabad pillar inscription. Then he performed Ashwamedha sacrifices after his military victories. Right. The ruler of Sri Lanka, Meghavarman, sought permission of Samudragupta to build a Buddhist temple at Bodh Gaya. Okay, Meghavarman sought permission of Samudragupta to build a Buddhist temple at Bodh Gaya. Then Kaviraja, it was Samudragupta's name because of his ability to compose verses, okay, or poems. Samudragupta is also known as Kaviraja because of his ability to compose verses. Certain coins show him with Veena. That means he was an eminent Veena player. Then he was a follower of Vaishnavism. Okay. The next is Chandragupta II, also Vikramaditya, 380 to 415 AD. So he extended the limits of his empire by conquest and matrimonial alliances. Okay, conquest was there and matrimonial alliance was there. His capital city was Pataliputra. Right, his capital city was Pataliputra. He married his daughter Prabhavati to a Vagataka prince who ruled the strategic lands of Deccan. Okay, then Chandragupta II conquered the western Malwa and Gujarat by defeating the Shaka rulers. Okay, so western Malwa and Gujarat. So western Malwa is Gujarat is important because this earned him the title of Shakari and Vikramaditya, and then because of this, Gupta Empire gained access to the Arabian Sea and opened trade with western countries. Okay, then Ujjain became the commercial capital of commercial capital of Guptas. Then Chinese pilgrim Fahan visited India during the time of Chandragupta II. Then he has poets like Kalidasa in his court. He also issued silver coins and the first Gupta ruler to do so. Then Kumaragupta, 415 to 455 AD. He was a worshipper of Kartikeya. Okay, he had title Mahendraditya. Mahendraditya. Then Ashwamedha Mahendra. These are all the titles. He laid the foundation of Nalanda University. Later, this Nalanda University became an international center for learning. Then Skandagupta, 455 to 467 AD. Then he was the last ruler of, or great last ruler of Gupta dynasty. He saved empire from Hun invasion. See, but these invasions weakened the empire, Gupta Empire. So details about him are mentioned in the Bhitari pillar inscription, proclaiming the title of Vikramaditya. Okay, he himself called as Vikramaditya. Right. Then the later Guptas. See, after Purugupta was there, Narasimha Gupta, Buddha Gupta, these were the later Guptas. But the problem was they were not able to save the empire from Hun invasion. They were not that much powerful. Right. So with the rise of the Malwa and continuous Hun invasion, the Gupta dynasty totally disappeared. Right. Then administration. The Gupta kings assumed titles such as Parama Bhattaraga, then Maharajadiraja, Parameshwara, Samrat, Chakravartin. These are all the kings as the titles. This kings was assisted by a council that consisted of chief minister, then a Senapati, commander-in-chief of the army, and other significant officials. Okay, there will be a council to assist a king, so which consists of the chief minister will be there, a Senapati, that means commander-in-chief will be there, and other significant officials will be there. Then the king maintained a contact with the provincial administration. That will be province. Okay, there will be province and provincial administration. The king is doing the provincial administration through Kumaramartyas and Ayuktas. Then provinces are called Bhuktis. Okay, and provincial governors are known as Uparigas. Okay, Bhuktis and their Uparigas. Bhuktis are subdivided into Vishayas or districts. The Vishayas were governed by Vishayapatis. Okay, Vishayas governed by Vishayapatis. For Sitmi administration, there were officers known as the Nagara Sreshtis. Sitmi administration officers were known as Nagara Sreshti. Villages in the districts were controlled by Gramikas. Okay, then social life. Caste system or Varna system, it was become rigid during the time. Who was on the top? Brahmins occupied on the top position of the society or the top position in the society, and untouchability. That practice of untouchability have begun there. Okay, so Fahean mentioned that Chandalas were segregated from the society. So that is untouchability. That's also another form of untouchability, that Chandalas were segregated from the society. Neglect of Buddhism and Jainism. Right. So Brahmins were at the top of the society. That means Buddhism and Jainism were neglected. The religious literature like Puranas was composed during the period. Okay, so Puranas and epics, more or less Ramayana and Mahabharata, they were composed during this period. Then position of women. See, position of women were miserable during the period. Position from study. See, were prohibited even from studying the religious texts such as Puranas. The practice of Swayamvara. What is Swayamvara? Swayamvara means a woman can marry according to her wish. That is Swayamvara was given up, and Manusmriti suggested early marriage for girls. Okay, the practice of Swayamvara. A woman can marry according to her wish. That is Swayamvara was given up, and Manusmriti suggested early marriage for girls. Then subjection of women to men, that was practiced. So importance were given for men at that point of time. Then trade and commerce, international trade with Romans, it was flourished. Ujjain, it was the commercial capital. Then guild system, it was formed. Guild means a group of people doing the similar activity or similar kind of trade or similar kind of uh, activities. That means similar kind of production activities, etc., or similar kind of business. It is called guild. So literature and development. See, Brahmi script evolved into Nagari script. Okay, Brahmi script was changed to Nagari script. So it is a golden age of Sanskrit. Okay, golden age of Sanskrit, because many Sanskrit texts and Sanskrit scholars were evolved at that point of time. Puranas, Smritis, and Dharma Shastras were composed. Samudragupta himself, a great poet, patronized scholars including Harisena. Okay, while Chandragupta's second court was adorned by the celebrated Navaratnas. Okay, Chandragupta's second court was adorned by the celebrated Navaratnas. Then Kalidasa. He wrote Sanskrit dramas, Malavika Agnimitra, Vikramorvashiyam, and Abhignana Shakuntalam. Okay, features among the 100 best books of the world. It is known as Abhignana Shakuntalam. Okay, it is a 100 best. It's one among the 100 best book of the world. Abhignana Shakuntalam. He wrote two well-known epics, Raghuvamsha and Kumara Sambhava. So these are the epics of Kalidasa, Raghuvamsha and Kumara Sambhava. Right. See, what is Kumara? What is the theme of Kumara Sambhava? Shiva and Parvati union and the birth of Kartikeya. That is Kumara Sambhava. Then is Ritu Samhara and Meghaduta. Right. So it has his own lyrics. Okay, there are his lyrics or kavya, that is Ritu Samhara and Meghaduta. Then Vishagadatta. Vishagadatta was the author of two Sanskrit plays or dramas, Bhutrarakshasa and Devi Chandragupta. Okay, the Bhutrarakshasa and Devi Chandragupta, they were the Sanskrit dramas. Then Shudraga. Shudraga was a renowned poet who wrote Mrichakatika or Little Clay Cart. Right. Then Bharavi. Bharavi was Kridarjuniya, a story of conflict between Arjuna and Shiva. It was a story of Arjuna and Shiva. It was written by Bharavi. Then Dantin, who wrote Kavya Darshana and Dasa Kumara Charita. Okay, Dasa Kumara Charita. It was written by Dantin. Then next is Subanthu. It wrote Vasavadatta. Okay, Subanthu, who wrote Vasavadatta, and Vishnu Sharma, who composed the Panchatantra stories during the Gupta period. Okay, Vishnu Sharma. Then Amarasimha was the Buddhist author who compiled a lexicon called Amarakosha. Okay, lexicon means a dictionary. Next is science and technology, Aryabhatta. Aryabhatta, he was a mathematician and astronomer. He wrote a book called Aryabhatiya in 499 AD. Okay, Aryabhatta. He wrote Aryabhatiya. He was a mathematician and an astronomer. The book explains the occurrence of solar and lunar eclipses scientifically, how the solar and lunar eclipses happen. He was the first to declare that Earth was spherical in shape and rotates its own axis. Then Varahamihira. He composed Panchasiddhantika. Panchasiddhantika on the 5 astronomical systems. Right. Then Brihad Jataka is a standard work on the astrology. Okay, it's a work on astrology, Brihad Jataka. Then Brihad Samhita. It's also a work of Varahamihira. It is considered a great work in Sanskrit literature, dealing with various subjects like astronomy, astrology, geography, then architecture, animals, weather, etc. Okay. Then Vagbhada lived during Gupta period. Vagbhada was the author of Ashtanga Samgraha, summary of the 8 branches of medicine. Okay, Vagbhada authored Ashtanga Samgraha. Then art and culture developments. The Gupta coins. Samudragupta issued 8 types of gold coins. Okay, Samudragupta issued 8 types of gold coins, and Chandragupta II and his successor had also issued gold, silver, and copper coins. Coins was to exhibit the portrait of the king on one side and of the coin and an appropriate goddess with her associated symbols on the other side. Okay, on the one side of the coin there will be the king, and another side of the coin there will be a goddess, Rashmi or Saraswati. Okay, that was the goddess. That was the coin of Gupta period. Then sculptures, images of Buddha from Sarnath is an example. Several images of Hindu gods and goddesses created during this period. So that is the sculpture. Then metallurgy was there. See, metallurgy besides stone, Gupta artists also showed used bronze for making sculptures. See, actually that pillar, the iron pillar of Qutub Minar. Okay, that is mentioned here. Iron pillar, iron pillar of Qutub Minar. See, it is free from any rust, even though it has been completely exposed to sun and rain for so many centuries. So that is metallurgy. That is metallurgy they have used. Then Sultanganj Buddha. Sultanganj Buddha means 2 meter high bronze image of Buddha that was discovered at Sultanganj now in the Birmingham, Birmingham Palace, Birmingham Museum now. Okay, so it was got from Bihar, Sultanganj. Architecture developments, both in Nagara and Dravidian style of architecture. But the issue was most of the architecture of this period has been lost during foreign invasion of Huns. Okay, so Dashavadara temple at the Diogar, Shiva temple of Bhumra. So we will be dealing it completely or detail in art and culture classes. Anyway, just mentioning here, Shiva temple of Bhumara, then Vishnu temple, Tigawa, Jabalpur, etc. Then Parvati temple, Lakshman temple, Raipur, Mugundara temple, Shiva temple, Koch, Bhitari temple at Gasipo. These are all the examples. Right. Then painting. Painting also will be dealing with the art and culture class. Again, just I'm mentioning here. Painting as an art form reached a high degree of perfection during the Gupta times. The wall frescoes at the Ajanta caves, Aurangabad, and the one at the Bagh caves near Gwalior. These are the examples. Okay, that's about this class. Thank you very much. Please share, subscribe, and watch the full session. Next session will be starting. That will be ecology and environment, right? And another section will be art and culture, right? So this will be continuing and completing the syllabus, right? Thank you very much.